Hey, what's up? I'm Amy Stroup, and you're watching the Libby Show.
How did she do it? Do it.
Libby. Libby. Libby.
3, 2,
Libby.
1.
It's the Libby Show.
What's going on, everybody? Libby here with another episode of the Libby Show. I'm very excited to be featuring one of my friends in the industry. She is a award-winning songwriter. She's got a brand new album coming out in June called Since Frank. And her collaboration, The Danger Twins, has gone viral on TikTok and Instagram with Thing of Beauty. Hi, Amy Stroup. How's it going?
Good.
Thanks for welcoming us into your Milk Glass Creative Studio.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
my writing studio day to day. So,
Well, the songs that I've been listening to from Since Frank, which we gotta talk about the pup over here.
he's asleep on the couch. Yeah, I don't know if he's in the shot, but
We'll get him in the shot. He'll get his cameo. Since Frank, 10 songs total, and I have just loved listening through this entire work of art. Like, it's been really, really calming for me, and throughout the past couple months of listening to it, and it's really just about working through melancholy and things that we're going through in life that don't really make a whole lot of sense, and just kind of making the most of it. And
yeah, I'm a songwriter at heart, and so I'm always making songs for different reasons. I do a lot of television writing, songs for TV, film, and a lot of times those are fast songs. Like, hey, you get a show producer calling you, say, hey, we need something in 3 days, end title, go. And so there's all this rush. But with these songs on Since Frank, the reason why I even called it that is because I got my dog Frank 3 years ago, and these are sort of songs I've judged and tried to make really as beautiful as possible. Was the goal. Is just I want to not only hear something but really feel something, and chase the beauty in all the songs. And so I took my time on these, and sometimes refine them back and forth versus, in co-writes, you walk into a room and by the end of the day, you've got a song that sounds almost like it could be released. And so these were more of a slow build, a slow, finessing, if you will.
And I feel like it also, I know for me, I could even tell through listening, to something like As Long As You're With Me, it's very cinematic in its approach, and you feel very at ease, and like, I want to hear what the inspiration was for that one, because I feel like it's a very grounding song.
Kind of what you're talking about, 2019 was the year I got Frank, and then we all know what happened, obviously, in 2020 and 21, and is it still going on? I'm just kidding. But
It kind of feels like it sometimes, honestly.
It kind of does. Every time something happens, it's like a little ping of, what? During that time, I, like so many other people, were forced to figure some things out, forced to find grounding practices, if you will. And I live really close to an amazing park in Nashville. And so part of my ritual was walking my dog. And I really felt like the lyric says, as long as you're with me, I can do anything. And to that, I was more speaking to, our friends that get us through hard things. It was kind of one of those like ahas of, if I've got my higher power, God, with me, or my friends, I can really get through anything, including a pandemic. It doesn't take that many people. It just takes those, like you said, grounded or soulful people that can kind of pull you through. It's kind of one of those I just want to take a minute, and it was almost like a gratitude song of, man, I'm so lucky to have some good people to get through this time.
And I feel like we're in kind of like a chaotic world right now. And, I know for me, like my brain is going 90 miles a minute. And so hearing a song like that.
Yes.
And it gives you almost like the freedom to like take a breath. And like you said, remember the things that make you whole at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Totally. Yeah.
So you released a collaboration with Andrew Bell, who's amazing, and recorded this video where you were both in two different cities. And that's on YouTube now, the lyric video. So talk about that.
Totally. Well, every time I've released a record, the rules changed. You know, we had CDs and we had iTunes, and now we had Spotify, we had playlisting, and now it's all about TikTok and Reels. And so it's kind of out of character for me to make so much quote content, end quote. But instead of doing something overproduced, I was like, you know, some girls I've hired to help me with social media, were like, hey, you gotta show more of your everyday. And it's uncomfortable for me because I'm not the one. I'm like, do y'all really care what kind of coffee I'm drinking? Really, world? Apparently people do. But so for that video, I was like, hey, I'm in a hotel in LA. I'm gonna film it on my iPhone. This is what I look like. There's no makeup, there's no anything. It's just me singing. And then Andrew was like, well, I might want to take a shower. So he was in his studio in Chicago. He has a home studio there where he makes, you know, his music.
Yeah.
And so he filmed there. And so we were just in a very natural place. And I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool to kind of see a little into where, you know, I was there for a writing trip, and I do a lot of writing in, you know, hotel rooms along the way. And so it was just, hey, this is what life looks like kind of video. Yeah. And he's a great friend. We both did the 10 out of 10 tour. And initially Trent Dabbs introduced us. He's like, hey, this guy Andrew Bell is looking for someone to sing on his record. And so I was like, I'll sing on his record. His music sounds cool. And then that was, you know, 10 years ago. We've been friends ever since. So.
And I feel like you both are similar in a lot of ways and how you approach your production and everything.
Totally.
So it's a perfect collaboration for sure.
He actually, so Chad Copelin, the guy that produced my record, had produced a bunch of Andrew Bell's music, and then also a friend, he goes by Simmel online, but Brian, and they both said, hey, you've got to work with Chad. And I was like, oh, I do love how y'all's records sound. And I finally met Chad. We finally wrote together. And I was like, yes, I want to make an album with this guy. He's awesome. So that's kind of how that came about with Sir Andrew. Yeah.
And then you recorded actually in Oklahoma.
Yes.
What was that? Talk about, you know, what led you to make that decision.
Totally. So Chad Coplin's studio is there, and he's recorded so much great music that we all love. Ben Rector, the band LANY. He's working with Shawn Mendes right now. So much music, but it was during COVID, a lot of the recording part of the process. And so driving to Norman, Oklahoma kind of sounded nice because it's, you know, it's near Oklahoma City, but it's kind of, you know, you got to go through Arkansas, you got to go through a little bit of Texas. And so it's kind of, hey, you want to go to the middle of nowhere and make a record during COVID? Yeah. So we did a lot of the pre-production there, and I would get in my car, take Frank, and drive 10, 12 hours, I don't remember how long it was, through rice fields, through Arkansas. And it was very like cathartic and very chill. And by the time I got there, I was like a clean slate, you know, ready to, you know, listen to so many good podcasts and so much music along the way. I was really ready to create by the time I got there. And so, yeah, so it was fun to drive there. And he's definitely has a dog-friendly studio. So there's like... his crazy dog Mike was running around, and Frank had friends. So
you recently were traveling. You did a songwriters retreat in Santa Barbara with Ingrid Michaelson and a couple of other artists. So
yes, I just got back. The publisher that represents my music to television is called Secret Road, and they put together a group of 15 artists and producers. It was so fun. Ingrid was there, so many good people. Girl House was there. A guy named Chance Pena was there. He's a great songwriter too. So we all were in different groups every day, working with the music supervisor and a producer to write to scripts or for different television shows. So it was a lot of fun. I'm sure shows that you've seen, but Lindsay Wolfington is an amazing music supervisor. She was there, but she's done so many shows from Virgin River to not the OC.
There's so many
There's
like
so
Netflix
many
shows, and like I feel like I'm behind, to be honest with you, on the new.
She's like indie radio for artists. Like she represents so many shows that all of us watch, and so I was really excited in particular to get to hang with her last week. So
well, since we're on the topic of sync, I want to hear about a couple of the placements. So you recently had a sync on Grey's Anatomy for Fallout.
About 2 weeks ago. Grey's is like one of the longest running shows of all time.
It truly is.
It's so known for, I mean, I grew up watching it and listening for the music on it because I was like, who is that? That song is so cool. Who is that? And I would back then try to remember the, you know, like Google the lyric. Thank goodness for Shazam now. You can just stick your phone in the air and instantly know. But I remember striving back in the day on Grey's Anatomy. Like, what was that? Oh, the Fray. Okay, cool.
That's true.
There's so many artists like that. But yeah, I did. It was a song called Fallout, made with a producer here. And so this happens so much in the style of writing that I do. It was actually written for a Netflix film. Didn't get that film. But I still turned it into Secret Road and was like, I feel like this can be for something. And sure enough, a search came up for Grey's Anatomy and it totally fit. And yeah, I was so pumped that it made the show for sure. So of course, it's a dramatic scene, you know.
Of course, yeah.
The most dramatic scene in the episode for sure.
We're here for the drama when it comes to sync cuts.
Totally.
And Virgin River, I almost blanked on that. So you wrote one with Michael Logan, who's a friend of mine.
Yes, I love Michael.
He's a fun time, and he has a lot of sync cuts as well.
Totally. So. Yeah, I write with him pretty often. I love that guy. So. Yeah, we did. We just had a song, Something Good, was in a recent episode of Virgin River, who's one of Lindsay's shows. So,
what do you love most about collaborating with other writers? So you've obviously got, since Frank, which I'm going to be, asking some questions about in a minute, but just being able to kind of have your hands in different writing sessions and keep it interesting.
Totally. I think if someone were like, you can only write songs for Amy Stroup, I would probably be bored, to be honest. I know it sounds crazy to say out loud, but I love collaborating with different people for different reasons, for different things. It keeps me interested and motivated, and I love that you can go in a room, for instance, with Michael Logan and maybe have a title like Something Good, but the result is not what you maybe thought it was going to be. Yeah. And so there's always like this magic in what people bring to the room, and it still fascinates me how you can have an idea about something, bring it to someone you trust, and then the song goes over here. And it's usually so much better, than, oh my goodness, I didn't even think about the lyric in that way or whatever. Or, I was always doing that Amy default melody. Thanks for pushing me over here to this new way of singing that I haven't even thought about yet. So I think it takes other people to kind of nudge each other to like write better songs, So,
was there ever like a show or, a storyline movie that inspired you early on to keep, putting your music out there for that purpose?
It was actually watching certain artists' careers, how they would just write a song and it just totally fit. So like, I think of an artist like Lissy. She has a song called Everywhere I Go. I remember hearing that and seeing it on a scene in Grey's Anatomy and just being like, mind blown by the emotion of it, the lyrics of it, how it was used to tell a different story than it was even intended on when she was writing it. And I just thought, that is so cool. I hope I get to do that. Or I think of the OC, and there was a scene with the Mazzy Star, Fade Into Me. The first time I saw that, it was just like this scene. It was so emotional. I was like, that music's so cool that it fits in those moments, So I was just always interested in how music and film and visuals relate.
The visuals in Break the Feeling music video.
Yes.
You're walking on like a stationary treadmill and there's just like a blooming forest around you, and it's like you're just it puts everybody in a completely different like world, I feel like. So
totally.
Just explain how that all came to be and the production. And
yes, so I worked with a guy, Daniel Chaney. He's here in Nashville, and I toured with Casey Musgraves with Sugar and the High-Lows. We opened for her for quite a while, and he had done a couple of things for her, so I saw his work there, and I just noticed the color, specifically how he colored things in post was so cool. And so I was like, I want to work with that guy. And so, fast forward to when my record's finally done, we're putting together visuals. I was like, this song is about kind of the rituals you were talking about, like how I get grounded, which is hiking, swimming, trail running, walking Frank, yoga, and all these things. And I was like, what if we went out like near Percy Priest Lake and like I was wearing something bright and you had a drone above me just following me on a trail? And he was like, that's cool. I was like, maybe I can swim in Percy Priest Lake. It's disgusting, And he was like, what if we made a fake world and you're on a treadmill but no one knows it yet, and like kind of flipped it kind of like you were talking about, like collaboration. Like I said my idea out loud, and he was like, "What about this?" And I was like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" So some of the video is green screen, some of it's real, and he just kind of judged it, and his crew made this like cool world that I was taking literally.
But you're internally feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm taking all this literally, like, well, I go hike at Radnor, why can't you follow me around with the drone? And he's like, let's make this like, I don't know, this other world. And it turned out really cool.
Or you know how they have on like a Peloton or like a workout bike where it's like this virtual world and you're riding a bike through. Yeah, that's kind of also what you're probably.
Totally.
It was in your head.
He was probably thinking like some Nintendo game I haven't seen, or P45, whatever they are, but yeah.
And I got to mention you have a Break the Feeling playlist out too.
Yes, just songs I was influenced by. You know, as writers, we're always listening to everything. And so I just wanted to like put out in the world kind of what was influencing me, you know, at the time of that song, or what I just thought was kind of cool.
So the last time that we sat down and talked about your work and your music and that sort of thing, it was when you released Tell It of Memphis.
Yes.
And it was inspired by your grandmother. So I want to hear maybe like what song on this album or something about this project do you think she would be really proud of?
That's a good question. I like that question. Yeah, Hell to Memphis was kind of that throwback, modern, good time. Like the songs like Magic were on there. This is kind of different, but you know, my grandmother, I think I talked about it with you, like she was very elegant and loved to party. And so I do think there's like an elegance in the melancholy, especially with the string arrangements in this one. Eleanor Denning and Kara Fox played the cello and did some amazing string arrangements. And another guy, Jeremy Larson, who also has worked with Casey Musgraves and a bunch of people in town. Just the elegance they added with the strings blows my mind. And so I really think she would appreciate just the kind of the beauty in the songs that's you know, tried to create. So a song like Valley has a big string arrangements on it.
You do have a good arrangement of you know, diverse instruments on the album. Sleep In is probably, I would say sonically, one of my favorites.
Love
just
it.
because it does sound like it would be in a Grey's episode or like.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that one, we had already made a bunch of the songs, and Chad brought in this really cool guitar progression. And I was kind of mesmerized just by it. And so Mary was actually in Oklahoma with me, and we just like wrote that song within, you know, 2 hours. It was one of those like, oh, this is a breakup song, I guess. Like it kind of came out of the subconscious. And yeah, but I love the guitar tone on that one too. Chad did a great job just kind of nailing that.
I mean, I feel like it exemplifies the brevity and how you write.
Yes.
So of course I feel like with sync, that's a partial requirement for a song to fit.
Totally.
But creatively, why do you feel like it's so important to be simple in how you explain things to where it relates to people easy?
Totally. You know? I grew up reading a lot of Madeleine L'Engle, and she has a quote that says, 2 words are not better than one. Clear as light, firm as stone. And I've just always heard like, you know, Mary, she's worked in book publishing, one of my collaborators. She's designed so many book covers, and when I hear meetings with authors, you know, say it's a 5,000 word piece, they're like, make it 2,000 words. It's always reducing to what matters and nothing more. No extra. And so with me, I love to leave room for just say what you mean as directly and poetically as possible, but also leave room for that silent digestion space that lets people have their own feeling about it. And so I just really try to shorten things, because from what I've read from like Madeleine L'Engle and Anne Lamott and some of my writing heroes.
Oh, I love Anne Lamott.
Love Anne Lamott.
She was, so one of my college professors who I occasionally still keep in touch with, Bird by Bird was
mind-blowing book on writing, right?
It's like, well, I'm gonna just rethink everything that I thought about writing anything ever.
Yes. She talks about just write what's in the frame. Don't you know, talk about everything, just write what's in the one picture frame. Go bird by bird, right?
So it's called Sense Frank.
Yes.
And I feel like, I mean, maybe he's in the napping, but maybe he can just join us. Do you want to join us?
Come here. Oh, he's gonna
stretch.
do a yoga stretch. That was a perfect downward dog.
That was perfect.
Hey, buddy. Oh, there's another something. All right.
We're gonna have like a yoga little yoga class, yoga segment just in the middle of this.
He's so grounded, he's just doing yoga for us. I'm just kidding.
So when did you get Frank?
I got Frank in 2019. Kristen Dabbs, Trent's wife, she also made Sugar the High-Lows, was like, hey, I found your dog. And I was like, leave me alone. I don't want a dog. I travel too much. And then she started sending me pictures of this puppy. And by Saturday, I was at her house. And then he basically put his head on my foot when I like came and visited. And then I went to PetSmart and cleared the shelves of all dog supplies.
He's like,
So he is a welcomed blessing. Is not even big enough of a word for sure.
he's like a
Yeah.
little person.
Yes, he is. He's taking a bath right here for us.
Just, you know. So I feel like Break the Feeling, obviously, like you were saying in the beginning, relates to him. But maybe is there another
Yeah.
song on the album that led you to be like, this is the name of our project?
Well, I was just thinking through all of them, actually. There's another song called Valley, and it's a super simple lyric, but when I'm here with you, I'm happy. I mean, yeah. You know, so many days of COVID were spent in my backyard. I love making fires, so I actually make like a bonfire in the morning. So I have a lot of morning fires, and it's just, I love it. You know, it's just time to reflect, a time to drink coffee, just look around and slow down. My therapist always is telling me, you know, let Frank take you on a walk. You know, be as present on the walk as Frank is on the walk. Because I'm like, you mentioned, like my brain is running 1,000 miles an hour. So many ideas about this, and so many things I want to do and accomplish. And, oh, I need to call this person back. But it's a good reminder to like slow down and, you know, be present to what's, you know, just for today, what's going on today. So,
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
I've had to work extra hard at that the
Yes,
past couple
me
years.
too.
Of just,
well, speaking of just what's going on crazy, just the song came out As Long As You're With Me the Friday after the Covenant
Right.
in Nashville. And so immediately that song took on a different meaning for me. And just seeing so many people in Nashville really dig in and show love to an obvious hurting school, right? And so I was just so blown away by the hope that I saw post that horrible event of people really stepping up, whether I was downtown or, you know, tying a bow in their mailbox. Like, people wanted to say, hey, we're here and we see you.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what those songs are about, is like we give strength to each other, right? And we show up in the ways we can for each other, and we'll all be all right. I wrote that with Mary and AG in 2019, and then we had no idea it was about to come, you know, in 2020. And we released a version, because it was on Grey's Anatomy, a cinematic version of the song. I recut it with Chad, a more stripped down version that kind of just fits the record. But I mean, that song hit at such a time too. It was like at a time when you turned on the news and it was like, be stressed out, scarcity, there's not enough toilet paper. It's like, hey, we're all going to be all right. You know, let's take a moment and remember, if we could act from that place of presence versus like a surge of panic, then we'll probably do a little bit better. Or at least we'll feel a little bit better. Even if the world isn't, we'll at least feel better.
We'll still be fine, hopefully, crossing
Yes.
fingers. Yeah. I think living in that constant state of, oh, this is happening. Oh, it can be pretty taxing at times.
But yeah, I do get texts and calls from people. I mean, I'm thinking of a friend. Her mom was in the emergency room in Memphis, and there was actually an episode of Grey's Anatomy in the waiting room. And she said their doctors weren't letting her go back because it was such a severe situation. And that song came on the television show, and she was like, I just felt peace. I knew it was going to be okay. Turns out her mom was okay, thankfully. But I was like, that is so cool. You know, that was all happening. And one of my friends calls it God winks. It's like, you know, just feeling like we're not alone in our pain can be just comfort enough. And songs do it, people do it, dogs do it.
I feel like it often happens in the places you're not looking either.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, I mean, that was an all-female production for that song.
Yes. AG is an amazing producer in LA and writer. And then she also mixed it. And Mary and I co-wrote it, sang it. We're all singing on that version, and so it was kind of one of those, not intentionally, but this was an all-girl version. This is awesome, you know. It's a rare thing that happens, I guess, in our industry. So it was like one of those, hey, this is kind of cool. Unintentionally, just I want to work with good people. These are all good people. Awesome.
Since Frank is phenomenal, and I'm just excited for people to listen and to stream it. Before we get to your acoustic performance of Break the Feeling,
yes.
What is your favorite place to hike, or what has been your favorite hiking trip so far?
Oh man, I usually when I travel try to find them. Like last week in Santa Barbara, we were hiking in some amazing, we were hiking to these fire towers where I guess there was firemen at post and they can see the whole mountain range. And so we were there last week. So I literally try to find somewhere everywhere I go. But one of my favorite hikes though is in Malibu. It's called Solstice Canyon. And it's just like a 3-4 mile hike, but you can get up and see amazing kind of mountainous views. And then valley, and then you can even see the Pacific Ocean, and it's breathtaking because Pacific Ocean is, you know, navy blue from those views and just this like rich color, and you're like, I'm, you know, a couple miles from it, but I can still see it. It's just gorgeous. So I'd probably say Solstice.
Any podcasts that you recommend?
Oh man, I love podcasts. Usually if I'm reading a book, I'll look and see, like I read Green Lights 2 years ago or a year ago, whatever Matthew McConaughey's book came out. And then I try to listen to all the interviews, but definitely listen to Dax. Definitely listen to
I love
Smartless.
Dax Shepard's
I know.
podcast.
So people have mixed feelings. I love Dax.
I like his co-pilot. What's her name?
Monica.
Monica.
Monica Patman. She's great. My favorite part though is after the interview, they'll do like a fact check and then they go off in these random conversations. Those are my favorite. And I went and saw them live when they were at TPAC. I guess a couple years ago. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, Oprah's always my Super Soul Sunday. She hasn't been releasing too much content lately, but I still re-listen to, you know, some of those interviews just because they're so good. She's usually on the pulse of wholesome.
Since Frank
he's just gonna do his
the end of
stretches
June.
for us. Nice form there, buddy.
Very nice form. We're proud of you. Out everywhere, June 23rd, right?
Yes. We're gonna have some special release stuff. Stay tuned. Of course, we'll be playing a show, but we want to do like a hike dog meetup in Nashville. So we're gonna do sort of a twist on a CD release.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me. I'm so glad we got to talk about this. And you're going to be playing Break the Feeling.
Yes.
And everybody can follow you on Instagram.
All the things.
Facebook, Spotify. Make sure you go stream the music, you know, just as much as you.
Thank you. Yes. Apple Music, Spotify, wherever you listen. Add a song to a reel. It's all good.
Go look up Kim Kardashian's Instagram reel.
Kim Kardashian just blew me away. She and Kyle Richards just used it in a thing, so thing of beauty. Yeah. Cheers. Thanks for having me on your show. Woo!
Libby Show. Go check it out. Make sure that you tap the subscribe button and follow and look out for new episodes. And hope you have a great rest of your week, everybody. Take care.
It's the Libby Show. The Libby Show. It's the Libby Show. It's the Libby Show.